Well, good morning. Hope you all are well. Let's see. Who have we got? We got Victor Beebe saying aloha. We got Will Schaff. Oh, can you describe how Brad ages guitars with a cigar? Does he just smoke on the guitar or is he holding the burning embers to it? That's a good question. I'll answer that. I'm glad I have the right guitar that I'm holding here. What are the advantages of using a flat pick and fingers a la Brad and Zach versus thumb pick? Good question. We got some really good questions to start off with, and hello, James Maxwell. So I'm gonna say hello a couple more times before I get into the story about cigars and then the difference between thumb picking and flat picking. So yeah, we're gonna say oh, we got my sister Courtney here. So thank you. We got Telecaster Bear. We got Hode 8 saying morning. Yeah, we're all here. Let's see. Michael Davis, Lee Grant. Good morning to Lee. We've got a couple of my Patreon members, and I'm glad they're here. I love Captain Sexy. Yeah, I can't get enough Captain Sexy. Let's see. Yeah, we're popping along here. Let's see. How's it going there in Nashville? Massimo in Italy says it's going well. Weather is nice. It's cooled off some. What is there to complain about? I mean, it's a good day. So, and here I am on the YouTube with the good people. Let's see. We got Randy and Rocky Powers. Nice. Let's see. Cheers from Analog Simple Man. We got Blytheville Steve saying good morning. We got Jam Up saying hi, Zach. In just a minute, we're going to give it a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to tell the story about one of the first ones on asked about how Brad uses a cigar to age stuff. So they probably watched the Rick Beato interview with Brad, and he talked about using a cigar when he's aging guitars. So, and this is one of the guitars he's aged with a cigar. So I will show you what he's done. We've got Corey Hollenhorst saying Jesse J's buddy from the wood. Nice, very nice. Yeah, he's a friend with one of my neighbors. So in the wood industry. Like greetings, fender benders, happy October. Yes, happy October 1st to everyone. Massimo says love JL Trem, hoping Zach would do this. Wanted to ask his thoughts on G&L. I'll talk about that too. So yeah, we got a couple big topics to discuss. So I'm gonna do a couple more hellos, and then I'm gonna dive in with discussion. With answering a couple big questions. We've got a couple good mornings, Jeff and Matt and Bryce and David Schramm from Clovis, California. K-Line guitars are great. I haven't really played one before. All right, let's dive in with the first question, which was about Brad Paisley aging guitars using a cigar. So he basically lights up a cigar and smokes it some, and then he will just hold it up and kind of get some of the smoke on it and kind of get some of this kind of effect over here. And then also he will hold it up really close and actually burn it. I'm trying to get as close as I can here, but that's, if you can see this, that was done with a cigar, holding it really close, actually burning the finish. And I think he also did it in here too. You can see there's a kind of a dark spot here in the cutaway, and that was done with a cigar. And I, try not to give away all of his secrets, but yeah, he uses a cigar to, he'll use the smoke where it takes a while, and then also he will, basically burn it with the cigar. All right, and this is a broadcaster replica. This is made from off-the-shelf parts. I believe the neck was made by Music Craft, and I don't know who made the body. It was one that he found either on eBay or or reverb, and it's a one-piece Swamp Ash body. The whole guitar weighs 6.5 pounds, so it's really light. This is a Seymour Duncan Antiquity neck pickup, and this is an old Peter Florence Broadcaster pickup, which of course Peter Florence passed away a number of years ago, and it's a good combination, and it's wired like a Broadcaster should be, where except I don't have the complete mud sound. I only have like a touch of mud in this position. So this is what, see. So that's just a cap and a resistor on there just to take it down some. And then when you go to position number 2, you get it without the cap and resistor and no tone control. Same pickup, but just... So, and then when you go to the back, then this control, which is actually blend control, comes into play. So right now it's full up, so it's just the bridge pickup. And then you can blend in the neck pickup. So here's just a little bit. Here's all the way. So I love this this kind of wiring. So yeah, let's see. Man, we've got all sorts of comments on here. Donald Mills, we've got Victor Beebe. I'm fine with using reclaimed woods. I don't know if it's worth the money or not. Let's see. Has Fender released the 19? No, they haven't. So they're concentrating on the 67 that they're making. So I think they've pre-sold them, but they're still making them. All right, let's go back to one of the original questions was about using a thumb pick versus using a flat pick. And this is kind of basic stuff, but a flat pick, you can do up and down strokes really easy. With a thumb pick, you have to kind of use a pick and a finger or two, which can give you actually more speed in some ways, but it's different. And of course, it's easier to strum with a flat pick, but it's probably more advantageous to chicken pick with a thumb pick and your fingers. So. David Schramm says, curious about Brad using the Line 6 filter modulation on the World. I think he did, yeah, I think that's what that is. That is the filter modeler, the purple pedal that they made for a while, the FM4. So I don't know that. I think he uses the old Line 6 M13 that has that unit built in. Tim says, snappy, congrats. Oh, they're talking about the Marla amps. So live. All right, Mark. Paul Schmitz says, I've got a Fiesta Red Telly roasting in the sun as we speak. Very nice. Them Ron Ellis. No, these aren't Ron Ellis. This is a Duncan Antiquity, and this is an old Peter Florence pickup. Here's one that has Ron Ellis in it. This is, in fact, the focus of next week's episode. So this is a late 60s factory Bigsby Telly. So I'm doing an episode all about Bigsby's on Telecasters next week. And this one has a Ron Ellis 60T and a Standard Plus neck in it. So, all right, yes, and watch for next week. We'll be talking about Bigsby's. Mark says, your audio is amazing. Thank you. And my sister Courtney is moderating and plugging Patreon. So thank you very much, Courtney. Thank you for jumping in. And thank you for the nice comments. Let's see. We've got hello from Canada. We've got Chad Ritchie saying good morning. You playing through your Headstrong? Yes, I'm playing through my Headstrong Little King, and I've just got a touch of compression from my Mirage compressor, and I've got a touch of slapback from an old DM3. Let's see. Oh, let's see. So we had some comments about Luke McQuarrie and Brent Mason using thumb picks, which of course they do, and they do really great work with it. I just never could get along with it. Mace Windows saying, what's a good tube amp that won't break the bank? Those old PV Classic 20s and Classic 30s are good, and they're pretty cheap. Or a Fender Pro Junior or a Blues Junior. Those are fantastic amps, and they'll do you right. Do you have any videos on how to do a full setup? I've done some like setup trick videos, and you can Google that, or you can search it on YouTube, and that'll come up. I haven't done like a full blown like setup video. Let's see. Zach Top started using a thumb pick. So, yeah, Zach Top's been using a thumb pick, on electric, because he was playing Brent Mason's part. But actually, he just hired a guitar player here in town to play electric for him, so that he could play more acoustic and not have to be his own lead guitar player all the time. And he can play solos on acoustic and stuff. So why am I William Bagby. So he's a really fantastic guitar player that he had been playing with Randy Travis and some other cats. But he's actually a pretty young guy, and he was playing at the Music City Lounge, I think, a lot. And so William Bagby is going to be out playing with Zach Top playing Telecaster. So I think that's really cool, and congratulations to William. Let's see, greetings from Singapore. Hey, Plexico, thank you for the super chat. I'm late. Walking the dog. That's a good song, just walking the dog. Greetings from Sweden. Pat Grismore says, any thoughts or experience with the MJT bodies? Yes, I have a Tele with an MJT body, and it's great. I actually ended up stripping the finish off of it and doing another color, but it's a good body. It's a custom Tele, and it's actually the one used in the last episode from last week. That's an MJT body that it was black, and then we refinished it. So, but it's a cool body. Let's see. Comments are kind of going by pretty fast. Henry says, what's the Dynacomp on yourself? I'm embarrassed, but this is Reggie Young's Dynacomp that he used on all the Merle Haggard and George Strait and basically everything he did in the late 70s and 80s and such. So it has his name. It's barely legible, but this is a very early script logo Bud box, Dynacomp. And this is a real treat, to have this. Because, this is this is on the chair. This is on Think I'll Just Stay Here and Drink, and That's the Way Love Goes. This is the compressor that was used on that. And it's my memento of Reggie. So, and it has the box, which, that's what kids love it when it has the box. Morning, Zach. Just so you know, things are kind of flying by, so you might have to reiterate. You might have to repost a question or something. So Colin says, my guitar cord keeps on unscrewing. Use thread lock, but use something really light. Don't use because there's like the red and the blue. I wouldn't use the one that's, I would use the less strong, the lower strength version of Loctite. Lander says, if I recall correctly, you mentioned trying to do a... No, there's, Fender is, it takes a lot longer than I thought to get, guitar models out. And there's still the thought of doing a regular factory American one. There hadn't been any discussion about a made in Mexico or Ensenada, blue Paisley at this point. So we're still trying to get, Fender pre-sold their 67 custom shop ones, and we're, doing the 19 that are for fundraising. And so we're trying to get onto that, but it takes time. So let's see. Avery's brag book. When you wind the string around the post, do you wind going up? No, I wind going down. The only time I would wind going up is on like a Strat. At times, if I'm trying to reduce the break angle at the nut, like if I don't want it to be severe going down, and sometimes you have to do that on some of the low strings, just on a Strat. But I've never done it otherwise because I like good downward pressure. Let's see. Jeff Motter. He's commenting on someone else's. Nick says it's 3:40 a.m. in New Zealand. Oh, well, thank you for staying up in New Zealand. And we got an Okie. Nice. And I had kind of a garage sale for my Patreon guys, and I sold a couple things, and James picked up one of them, which was a Dream 65 pedal that I really liked, but I just wasn't using anymore. But I'm glad it's gone on to a good home. Arnie says, thanks as always for good information. Good sound you have on that guitar and amp. I've had trouble with sound like have Vox Fender amps. Yeah. The Fender, the Pro Juniors are really, and the Tone Masters, yeah, they're fantastic. Yeah, Zach Kuhn did a good interview with Joe Glazer, and they talked a lot about the Blue Paisley stuff. So that's a good call, Corey. Good morning from George. David Schramm said, sad the Crystal Palace closed. No, Brad has enough things going on, and he has a charity called The Store that is really, kind of his main thing. He could have done he wanted to support a charity. So, I mean, it'd be cool for him to like buy something like the Crystal Palace, Buck's old place, but, no one can do everything. So, but he has his mind in the right spot, supporting people that need help. So. And I do think it's sad because I got to play the Crystal Palace a couple times, and I got to play once or twice with Buck, and that was a real thrill. And I'll never forget getting to play with Buck Owens at the Crystal Palace. Your 50s Brad Strat looks so insane. It has the perfect look. It's a great guitar, and I have it here. So it's over there against the couch. So, but yeah, and of course I used it for the thumbnail for this live stream, and it's a killer guitar. It's one of the best ones I have. It's kind of made me change my mind about vintage stuff. And I still love vintage guitars, but there's some really killer parts guitars that have been put together recently, and like everything from Danocaster and Nacho to these things that we've put together here that have just been really great. So yeah. And even like the road-worn tellies and stuff. I've played, just a bunch of good modern guitars. Let's see. Dr. Doc says, "What's up, Zach? Tried any loopers?" Yeah, I've got one of those MXR loopers that I use some to practice with, and then I've been messing around with an old Line 6 M9 that has a pretty good looper in it, and it's fun to do that. And I've thought about using it on some of the episodes for like backing, so that I could play something with some backing behind it, because I've kind of resisted that, because I wanted to do stuff that was just where you heard just the guitar, but sometimes you kind of want some backing. So let's see. I've noticed some 60s tellies have 1-ply guards and some have 3-ply. Yeah, what happened was the 3-ply guard was supposed to be only on the custom telly, starting in when it came out in '59, because it was part of the deluxe, kind of refinements of it. And then in '64, they decided to just use 3-plies on everything. So yeah, and so of course everything had single-ply guards, up until '59 or so. and then you start seeing the 3-ply guards on everything. So, but the Telly didn't get it until 64, the regular Telly and Esquire. Desert Island guitar amp pedal. Dang. That would be my 57 Esquire. And frankly, it'd be this Headstrong Little King because it sounds really good at low volume. If I was actually having a gig, it'd be my deluxe reverb. And then, golly, the one pedal. I guess if my amp has reverb and tremolo, then I would just want I'd want a dirt box of some kind that was decent. Probably a Mostortion or maybe even a Nobles. So like the Apollo approved, I really like. Oh, let's see. Moving to Nashville soon. Any tips on where to network and meet folks? Just go see people play. Go to songwriter nights, meet people, become part of the scene. Go out every night. Nothing will happen sitting at home. Everything will happen if you go and meet people. Is a lot of work or a lot of money to get a B-bender installed? No, it's not. I mean, it's not cheap, but I mean, it's like $600, and Joe Glazer's shop can put one on really quick. Guys talking about parts casters. Corey's asking about, because I said that I sold the Dream 65. I wasn't using it that much, and so I've got one of those little Tonex pedals, and for me, it's just a backup in case my amp blows up. Well, we got a super chat from Blytheville. Thanks, Zach, for all you do. I have a body coming from MJT. Aaron told me of them. Love your show. Thank you. Yeah, MJT bodies are great, and they do a good finish on them, and they're high quality, and they do really good stuff. Oh, let's see. Junior Brown. No, I love Junior Brown. I remember, of course, when he hit the scene in the early '90s, and yeah, I might do a video on him. I'll put him on the list. I don't know anything about coated strings eating frets faster at all. I haven't run into that, so I don't know. Have you ever tried the Nobles Dell Mini? I have not. I kind of use either a DM3 or an Echo Park or the Line 6 El Capistan. Where you talked about James Honeyman Scott once, just wanted to say I knew Jim. Wow, when he worked in Buzz Music. Yeah, Robbie is incredible, and he was a good replacement for, unfortunately, for Honeyman. Scott. He was such a great player. Telly Bridge and P90 neck is my favorite combo. Love the content. Cheers from Montreal. Well, thank you. Yeah, I love that combo too. Stewie French has that set up on a Jason Isbell Roadworn that he put a P90 in the neck, and that's a killer guitar. I haven't tried the Vimaram overdrives before. Let's see. Bryce is a guy from Peoria, Illinois. Nice. Let's see. Well, benders are expensive. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Greeting, we got Framus Burns Hagstrom 3. Nice. Oh, and you're up in Alaska. Very nice. A guy from Peoria makes a bender bridge for $300. Okay, well, if you can post a link or something like that, do that so that we can share that with the other cat. Should I change the barrel saddles on my Nash? I mean, if you're really having trouble with the string spacing, you could get the Music City Bridge Groove Masters. Those are really nice. I have those on a couple of guitars. This has rudders saddles that have grooves that are kind of made in a way, but it's not movable. You can't control the string spacing. And if you want to control the string spacing, I'd get the Music City Bridge ones. Oh, let's see. Good morning from Edmonton, Alberta. Good morning, Ian. Do you ever run 2 amps simultaneously? If so, how do you split the signal? Nick, I have a box. It's called like a P-split. It's by a company that also makes they make some Lely. It's made by Lely, which is a European company. Maybe they're Swedish, German. I can't remember. But yeah, that's how I split the signal because when you do that, you need something to do ground isolate and also be able to flip the phase because sometimes your amps can be out of phase with each other and it ends up sounding they cancel each other out and it makes for a very bad sound. So I've been playing my Epiphone Sheraton recently. What are they for? I love that. I love an Epiphone Sheraton. If I had an Epiphone, it'd be a Sheraton. I love mini humbuckers. They sound basically like a slightly beefed up Telecaster. So, and I love your name. I ended up putting a Cavalier pickup in my road worn Tele. Ever try those? I haven't, but are you telling me that it's good, Dr. Docs? Let's see, Joe Peasy for Sheezy. Love that. Hi, Zach. How do you deal with pre-show anxiety? I just try to, I just think about playing and I warm up my hands and I move around if I need to and I jump up and down or whatever, I mean, yeah, but yeah, I can understand that. And that thing is you want that energy, but you want to focus it toward, your playing. And sometimes that can be hard and it's just, yeah, but I, will sometimes, move around a lot or act ridiculous or joke around with the other guys in the band, if I'm, kind of feeling anxious. So top loaded palm pedals versus benders. Well, I like benders better, but I mean, there's tons of guys that like, the palm benders and stuff. Nice. Good to see you, Martin. Autumn is here and instruments are going to be cranky. What are your best seasonal adjustment tips? Yeah, it's to make sure you're humidifying. If you're having to run the heat a lot, well, of course you need to humidify, and then you might need to do some small tweaks to the truss rod. And I just press down at the first fret and the last fret and look at the spacing and then make it either loosen or tighten the truss rod by about a quarter turn at most, sometimes an eighth of a turn, and that's I find if I keep things humidified, but there's just going to be some kind of movement no matter what during this time of year, especially as we start turning the heat up. So let's see. Oh, John Contos. He put some Music City Groove Master brass saddles on his 57 Esquire. Wow, you got one too. Those, they work well. What's your favorite Tele pickups? Well, it depends on the guitar. Every guitar kind of needs different pickups. You can't just say one pickup is perfect for everything. There's lots of different flavors, and you can't just say, well, I'm a Ron Ellis or I'm a Seymour Duncan or I'm a Lindy Fralin, guy. I find that the guitar kind of tells you which pickup is supposed to be in there. And so, you can swap around and sometimes you find a good match, pretty quick, but I use a variety of pickups, old ones, new ones, run to the mill, boutique, whatever. So, I mean, I've got all sorts of different types of pickups in guitars, everything from regular Seymour Duncan, MJ wound Seymour Duncan, Ron Ellis, Bud's pickups, old Peter Florence pickups, vintage pickups, I've got all sorts of things. So, but, it just depends on the guitar. Live close to Honolulu, Hawaii. Oh, okay. Okay, Lely is a German company, great volume pedals and tiny DIs. Yep. Back in the day, New York City guys had mini humbuckers in the neck position on the Teles. Yeah, it was it became a big thing because no one, because of course in New York City where everyone's riding the subway, you don't want to carry two guitars, and you needed that twangy bridge pickup Telecaster sound, but then sometimes you needed a fat, kind of more of an archtop or jazzy sound. And so that's why, yeah, guys started putting mini humbuckers. And there were tons of mini humbuckers around because everyone was pulling them out of their Les Pauls and having full-size humbuckers put them. So a lot of times the shops in New York City in the 70s just had drawers full of mini humbuckers. And you could pick them up for, 10, 20 bucks. And, yeah. Oh, let's see. How much tellies is too much? Oh, Lord. Yeah. Probably any more than 2 is too much, so I'm like way over that number. I think I have at least 10 or so, and yes, it's totally ridiculous. Recently, I had a little bit of a garage sale, on where I sold some stuff to my Patreon people, and so I did actually get rid of 1 or 2 tellies. So, do you have the neck off when adjusting your rod? That's a good thing. If there's a little tool that's like a really, right angle kind of thing that you can just fit in there and turn the truss rod without having to take the neck off. I don't have that tool. I wish I had that. I should buy that. So, Andrew is interested in 66 to 68 maple cap necks. Yeah, that is it's I can't remember if it's a nitro body. One's poly and one's nitro. So it's like, I think maybe the neck is nitro and the body is poly. But it was really a really thin finish. And I thought the Road Worn Maple Cap was a great guitar, especially when original maple caps from that era are going for, $5,000 and $6,000 that are stripped and missing a bunch of their parts. And all original ones are going, $15,000. So, I thought that Road Worn even at $16,000. I mean, it was a great guitar. So, seems Nashville is a happening place to be. It's time. Nashville's a hip place. Greetings from the Tri-Cities, Tennessee. Always enjoy your show. Oh, thank you. What are your favorite? Okay, you've asked that question before. Let's see. I've been using one of those Fender Mustang Micros on my... Yeah, that's a great way to warm up, Ian. I have one of those too. It's around here somewhere. It's probably in a gig bag. Do you have a Tele Deluxe? No, I don't. I'm not a big humbucker fan. So, Victor, that's a great setup. I mean, I'm not into that, but that's a really cool setup. Mini humbucker in the neck and a Firebird bridge. I mean, that's gonna, yeah. I think Danocaster does a setup similar to that. I can't remember what he calls it, a mongrel or something. He's got Sergey Limburg. He says, what do you think about the American Standard Series in comparison to the recent Pro? I don't know. I haven't really played them that much. I mean, the ones that I've checked out the most are either custom shop guitars or Road Worns, and that's kind of my best frame of reference. I haven't really played a lot of the American-made lines. Let's my buddy Tristan Smith. So he says, any recommendations on a well-balanced humbucker for an LP? Stock burst buckers seem to fall apart on the low end and sound too splatty when I dig in. I mean, probably the least expensive good humbucker is the Duncan Antiquities, and I really like the neck. I would get 2 necks because they're wound lower. They're not, and to me, those sound really good. Get 2 of them that are like in the 7K range and be happy. So, that's what I have in my Les Paul. I think I'm not a big humbucker guy, but I think those pickups sound great. And haven't heard that many boutique pickups that are worth the money over a Duncan Antiquity. So, and thanks for popping in, Tristan. It was good to see you a month or so ago. Anyone let's see. My first nice guitar was a 67 Maple Cap Tele, purchased brand new from Manny's for $175. My goodness. That's cool. Greg McFadden says, cheers, gang. Mace Windu says, maybe a random question. People always say, that's a great guitar. To you, what makes a bad or not great guitar? Sound, feel, quality? To me, Mace, the neck is the interface. And so if the neck feels good, you're over halfway there. So if the back of the neck feels good in your hand, and the front, the fretboard has decent sized frets on it and it's comfortable, I mean, that's a big part of it. And then it's like, then I would say, I prefer lighter guitars, so I don't want to get a Tele that's over 8 pounds. And that's just because I've had some back issues, and I really don't like standing and playing a guitar that's over 8 pounds. It just kind of gets to be much to me. But yeah, to me, that's the biggest thing is the neck. Does the neck feel comfortable in your hand? And then I like light one-piece ash bodies or a three-piece. I like it to where the middle, is on one piece of wood, the bridge and everything. So I either kind of like a one-piece ash body or a three-piece. And I like alder too. Yeah. The road-worn maple cap Tele. Nice. Glad to hear that, Rocky. Every few weeks, I feel like thinning the herd of 14 guitars. I sell a guitar when I've had it for years and I haven't played it in at least a year or more. And if it just feels like it's time for it to go on to another home, and that's what I've done. So, yeah. Ever played a Highway 1 Telecaster? Yeah, those are great. Thanks for allowing us to join you. This is my first time here. Well, thanks for coming out. So we got a K-line. Yeah, the Groove Master saddles, I think they'll help you. Freedom Grower. Bryce says, I've had a Player 2 modified with splittables. Nice. Tom Schubert says, good morning from Kentucky. Hope you're doing well. I am doing well, and thank you. Dixie 6. Let's see. And we've got a lot of comments. One day when I'll have a Telenet question for you. All right. Oh, we got a super chat from Tom. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Cheers. I'll have a sip of water in your honor. I have a matching pair of Bellcat BH20s. Nice. If you'd like to play a song or two for us, sure. So there's part of one. Let's see. Let's do something else. All right, the comments are flying by. So if I don't answer it, you may have to reiterate it. Blowing through 6v6s, I would absolutely get your... take it to an amp tech and find out what's going on. You could have some blown resistor or something going on. Replacement pickup for a Mandocaster. Yeah, I mean, you could get MJ to wind you one and get it made with Alnico 2 magnets. Actually, so the whole mix of magnet things comes from Joe Glazer's Mandocasters. So he would make them where the high strings had Alnico 2, and then he would use Alnico 3 or Alnico 5 on the others. And then Seymour Duncan learned that from Joe Glazer. This was back in the very early 80s. So, yeah. Do you sand your necks? I don't. Usually the necks on my guitars have so little finish, and but yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to take a little bit of steel wool to them and just smooth them out. But I've never pulled all the finish off. Let's see, Rusty Anderson's 335s. Yeah, I think with sometimes you just have to play differently with unpotted pickups, and they have a different sound. And so I don't know what to tell you on that Rusty Anderson. I'd be hesitant to pot it. I'd try to, work around that with playing technique or volume pedal or something. Man, that guitar sounds dope. Well, thank you, Dr. Docs. Can you mix and match most vintage tellies? Well, I mean, people did it back in the day where they'd swap necks and bodies and stuff like that all the time. I mean, it was very common practice. Everyone saw them as hot rods. So, do you have tabs on the Patreon or somewhere? There's tabs of just the Ask Zach theme, and it's on my website on AskZach.com. You can find it there. Lamar Brewster, swapping necks around a bit. What's the best way to store an unused neck so there aren't? I mean, yeah, I guess, you could loosen the truss rod a little bit. I wouldn't take it completely loose, but you could loosen it a touch. It's really not great to store necks, but yeah, it's okay. I would just loosen it a little bit. So, yeah, you could have a power issue. Weather report. Have you ever tried a 68 custom Princeton? Yeah, those are cool amps. That's a great, out of the box amp. Yeah, it could be just something warming up, Neil. The little bit of static might just need to warm up. It's working. It's, warming up. Sergi says, show how you set up your deluxe reverb. I usually set the volume in between 3 and 5, depending on the gig, and then the bass I have up around 5, and the treble at 4, and the reverb at like 2 to 2.5. Have you ever had to change late 60s F tuners? Yes, there are no replacements. You have to buy vintage ones, and so I've actually bought a full set of vintage F tuners, and I use them as replacements when they go out. And usually it's not, I've only had to use 1 or 2 of them through the years. So, and then also I've bought other guitars with F tuners that had like one that was bent, and then I could just swap that one out. I'm reiterating my thoughts on the current G&O. There's all sorts of information swirling around about G&L, and I've heard, this is all rumor, but I've heard for years that G&L has been for sale, and that different people, if Fender were to buy it, I think it would have to do with intellectual property. So there, because their guitars aren't, really flying off the shelf, but I would be looking at what intellectual property G&L has that someone would want. Having a hard time finding good country musicians in my area. They all have to use Ultimate Guitar Charts. Wow, finding good players. Yeah, I mean, you're probably going to have to audition them or find some young guys that you can train. So, yeah. Do you have any guitars that are crafted in China or Indonesia? I have had some. I'm trying to think, if I have something right now. But I thought the quality was fantastic, and I think it's really great. Whether it's classic vibe stuff or the SE line from PRS, they're really great. Learning mandolin instrument at Cheapside, like $1,000. Yeah, what is it? Kentucky, you can find some Kentucky stuff that's good. Also, golly, I'm trying to remember the name. There's a company that makes, they're made in China, and they also make a lot of violins, and I just can't remember the name of the company. But, yeah, there's some really good under $1,000 mandolins out there made in China. They're great. Cheers from Italy. Just going back to work. Nice. Favorite Bill Hullett lick? Oh, that's easy. That's really easy. Let's see. Let me try that again. Whoop, 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 whoop. That's really good. But yeah, that's a great lick. What pickups would you put in a baritone telly? Maybe a Fralin, blues special, or or it just depends on whether you're trying to go darker or brighter. So if you're wanting to go darker, I'd get a Duncan Antiquity 50s style. If you want more beef, more, yeah, maybe you go with the Fralin, or yeah. First fret thickness on necks, yeah, that's important. Replacement new F tuners are all chrome, not nickel. I thought the originals were chrome. The original F tuners were chrome, so I don't know. Let's see. One recent passing. I love Sonny Curtis. I mean, I thought I loved Walk Right Back, that he wrote for the Everly Brothers, and of course the tunes that yeah, I loved Sonny Curtis. He was a great singer songwriter, and he also wrote "I'm No Stranger to the Rain," that Keith Whitley, of course, had a big hit with, and yeah, I mean that's a stupidly great song. "I'm No Stranger to the Rain." Yeah. Let's see. Market prices this. Eastman. Yeah, Eastman mandolin. That's a good one. Yes, exactly. Ian's, people are chiming in. Played great things on my new to me 67 Maple Cap Telly, which garnered a wow and 2 thumbs up from my wife. Her noticing anything about my guitars is the true litmus test of tone. Great guitar. Nice. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying that, Don. Let's see. Have you tried the Blacktop Telly 2 humbuckers? I haven't, because I'm not really a humbucker guy, but I'm sure it's a great instrument. What does make a guitar sound great ultimately? Hardware and pickup can be changed. Feeling. I mean, I think the most important thing is the neck, and I don't know, but it has to do with your ability to play it. And then I think you can pull different sounds out, and you can change things on the amp and everything. I think the neck is the important thing because that's the interface. And if you don't like the feel of the neck, you're probably not gonna get a good sound out of the guitar. And I think you can do a lot with just tone controls or an EQ pedal or all sorts of things. Let's see, Louisiana Blue. Yeah, I think Louisiana Blue. That's actually Albert Lee playing a B-bender on Louisiana Blue. That's not Bill. Bill's on other cuts on it, but yeah, Albert Lee guested on a couple of the tunes on that Del Rio 1959 record. So, heading to Cleveland and Akron next week. Ever been in any? I haven't really spent time there. I mean, I've been there to do shows, but I haven't really had time to hang out, so I don't have any recommendations. Oh, Leo, he's talking about the F-tuners. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think just the backs are chrome, and then the shafts are nickel, which is kind of interesting. So, yeah. Yeah, you just have to find originals. Mace Windu says, curious what, if any, modern country artists you like. I like the Red Clay Strays. I like Sierra Farrell. I like Zach Top. I'm going to see Zach Top next week in Knoxville. Couldn't even get tickets to see him in Nashville, but got some tickets in Knoxville. I like him. I still like this old guy named Brad Paisley. He's good. I'm kidding. Yeah. I'm trying to think of other current country artists that I like. Yeah, I have to think about that some more. Oh, let's see. Been enjoying my Bass 6 a lot as of late. Do you use one? Yes, I have one. It's right over there. I have that, and I have a Dan Electro, version, and I do use them and love them. They're a lot of fun. Bought a used 50s road worn telly recently. I love it. Thanks for the tip. Absolutely, Chuck. So enjoy. What's your favorite pickup for the 60s Teletone? I really like the Fender 64 pickup. It's called a Pure 64 pickup, and it's a set. It's a neck and bridge, and it's a really good sounding pickup set. And it's like, I don't know, $150 or less. You can find them used on Reverb or eBay, and it's a great set. And then if you want to go above that, you could get like the Duncan Antiquity 2 series, or you could get a Fralin Blue Special that has the staggered poles if you're wanting it to be a little more compressed, a little more output. But just the good 60s sound, I mean, those do a really good job. So let's see. Have you heard of the Reeves brothers? I believe I have. I'm gonna have to do some more research so that before I'd make any kind of educated opinion, or before I could have an educated opinion on them, though. How high is your strings on the 1st fret and on the 17th fret? Well, I'm not measuring them, but they're real low. I mean, they're as low as they can be without completely bottoming out. I like low action. Let's see, what type of humidifier? I just have like a regular air humidifier. I don't use specific humidifiers for my acoustics. So I have my acoustics out, and then I'll humidify the whole room. I live in Nashville, Tennessee, which is pretty humid. So I don't need to worry about humidification during the spring, summer, and fall. It's only during the wintertime here that I worry about it. And so I get them out, and then I purposefully humidify the room while these guitars are out. So that's what I do personally. See, I guess it depends. Oh, the Wild Feathers is a great band. One of my buddies plays guitar for them, and we've Brett Moore, and we've traded some gear. So I bought a Blackface Deluxe Reverb from him, and I sold him a Greenwich Village telecopy, and then I bought an Apollo approved ODR1 from him. Yeah, this guy. So, because I had an original Nobles, and I sold it for a lot of money, and I wanted something to replace it with that wasn't worth a ton of money, and so I got this. This is very nice. Let's see. I love the Pure Vintage 64 Telecaster set. It's really nice. It's a great bang for your buck. Do you still have your Gibbaloo Waterloo acoustic? Yes, I do. It's right over there against the wall, on my rack. It's a great old guitar. Oh, Michael is asking what my favorite picks are. So I kind of go around in circles, and I was trying to look for some other ones. I mean, for a while now, I've been using, I know this is kind of a bandwagon, but I'm using blue chip picks. And so I have some made, with my logo on them, so it makes it a little harder to lose. And this is the TPR 35, and then it's got like an RB or something underneath it. And this is one, I learned about this pick from Keith Williams a long time ago. And he sent me one, and I liked it so much that I bought a couple of them. And yes, they are expensive, but I don't wear them out. And then sometimes I'll use little jazz picks. And then sometimes I'll use like a medium heavy old DeAndrea pick. So those are the picks that I use most of the time. So what radius is good for bends that don't fret out? Well, I don't have any problem with 7 1/4 as long as it's got bigger frets on it. So, but a lot of guys like to have 9.5. I don't like 12. That's too flat for me. Rocky Power says, yeah, I'm glad you're happy with that 60s Road Worn maple cap. That's a great guitar. Let's see. Brett is a hell of a player, and he's a good guy too. Yeah, we've done some fun swaps and had some fun conversations. Love you and appreciate your efforts. What do you think about the Wampler rewired pedal? I haven't played through it. I mean, Wampler's a great guy, and I've known Wampler since before he anyone knew about him. I mean, I met him, like 25 years ago or more. Yeah, nice guy, runs a good company. Yeah, I just haven't played through that pedal before. So, oh, nice. I'm glad that yeah, George says that Steve Earle did a good job at Farm Aid. What are your thoughts on Sewer and Anderson? I like them, but I tend to like more vintage style guitars. That's why I, kind of play some parts guitars that have been put together, or I have some custom shop things. I've got a Danocaster, I've got some vintage stuff. I tend to, use more vintage style stuff, not, the Sewer stuff, and is more modern, with a flatter radius and things like that. Let's see. I know, but I did spend the money on a blue chip. Yeah. RB is round bevel as far as the blue chip pick. So, yeah. What's your take on G&L guitars? I love the 80s and 90s ones quite a bit. The ASATs, the one with the big MFD pickups. Man, I love blue chip, but I've lost 2 feet of horn doing that now. Yeah, I understand. What's your opinion of Eric Clapton's quasi-country period in the 70s? I loved it. I mean, it was very laid back. I mean, his vocals were very laid back too, where he was just kind of like, I mean, he was just kind of barely getting the words out, but it chokes me up. I'm going to drink some water after talking bad about Clapton. But I liked his country period. I mean, it was cool. It was, you can tell he was very J.J. Cale and Don Williams influenced. Which, but I was kind of glad when he, started kind of revving it up a little bit more. So, but, yeah. Let's see. Dear Zach. I like that. Dear Zach. Have you used metal picks or shell picks? I have some real tortoiseshell picks that I bought legally in Japan years ago, and but I probably haven't used them in a long time, because the only time I'd use them is if I was playing my Martin D28 and I was trying to be a bluegrasser. Let's see. Are vintage undipped pickups worth the microphonics? I mean, well, you're talking about humbuckers, and yeah, they are. I mean, it changes the sound. I mean, it changes the sound when you wax pot them. So, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want like vintage single coil pickups that are unpotted. That doesn't work well. If you could only keep one guitar, see, you've asked that question before, or someone else did. I said the Headstrong amp and my 57 Esquire and a Mostortion. Maybe it was someone else that asked it, Blue Rhythm Boy. If so, I apologize. I didn't mean to offend you. So, Samuel Gutierrez says, what is the difference between the brown face Fender amps, black face, and silver face? Well, the brown face have more mids. The black face have less mids, and the silver face have even less mids. So, yeah, they get even more scooped. Any chance of getting Paul Bogart on the show? That would be fun. He is a great guy. So, and my sister is laughing, and I don't know why, but that's okay. She can laugh at me. She used to beat me up all the time. Yeah, I survived though. Will there ever be a Marty Stewart True Tone interview? I'd love that. It hadn't happened yet. What are your thoughts on Glenn Fricker? I don't know anything. I don't know anything about him, Avery. Sorry. Trained monkey with a telly. Man, I love that. Have you had the chance to play Keith Williams Strandberg telly style guitar? I have, and it freaked me out because it's just too small. It's like I'm if you can't tell, I'm not a little guy. I'm not huge. I'm like 6'2" and weigh over 200 pounds. And so Strandbergs are like a mandolin to me, and I feel just ridiculous holding one. Feels like a joke. But they're great guitars. Ever use a Music Man amp from the 70s? Absolutely. I had one. I had one in college, and I had the 212-65, and it was a great amp. It was stellar, and I think the reason I got rid of it was because I had the chance to get a real blackface twin, and I should have kept it because I mean it was more reliable than the blackface twin. It was a hoss. Do you use the Sparkle Drive? Yeah, I still use the Sparkle Drive some. Have you ever used the G&L pedals? Are they? I haven't tried the G&L pedals. Great show today. I'm on acoustic guy here, but really enjoy your passion. Well, thank you, Roger. Morning, Courtney and Zach. All right. Well, thank you, Veronica. Avery's brag book and all the P90s sounding like P90s but different from single coils. Yeah. Let's see. Bryce says, "Hey Zach, would you ever do an interview with Greg Koch?" Sure. I haven't really done that many interviews lately. I've kind of got off of it for a while, where I just got kind of tired of interviewing people and I needed kind of a break. But I think I'm gonna get back on the horse and do that. I just got tired of it. So, but need to do some again. Have you ever played a Mark One? Are you talking about a Boogie? I mean, if you're talking about a Boogie Mark One, I think I have played through one before. Yeah, I don't know exactly what you're talking about. BB Ean Green Screamer. Yeah, I've always heard that was a good Tube Screamer copy. John, I've never tried a cherry wood body, so I would not know what difference that would make. What do you think about Nacho Blackguard replicas? I think they're really nice. I've been to the factory in Valencia, and Nacho gave me a tour of that. Nacho's a good friend of mine, and I think they're really great instruments. I have so many other guitars that I wasn't about to ask him about getting one, so I don't have a Nacho. But of course, I've got a couple of friends that have them, and they're really great. Let's see. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I use this blue chip is basically, it's all like the, kind of what you would call, I guess, the back end of a pick or the butt end of a pick. There's no points, and I like that. I think you just get a smoother sound, Oh, let's see. Just to continue, ran out of space. Let's see. Do you always use a cable? If you're playing on a big stage, you kind of have to use wireless, because if you're going to get around the stage and stuff. So if I go out and play a show with Brad, which I've done a couple, over the last year, when he asked me to, I'll bring a wireless unit. But otherwise, I always use a cable. And I like these. I'll unplug this thing. I like these D'Addario cables, and I like them where they're straight on one end and they're right angle at the other, and that's what I use all the time. Those are my favorite cables. Brad did a killer version of Streets of Bakersfield. He should record it. My Music Man setup was a 65 watt head and a 412 cabinet. That is awesome. Let's see. What's your best theory advice? Well, I think, just take it real simple. Learn about don't think about modes and things like that. Think about learning like what makes a triad and how to spell different notes, like how to spell different chords, I should say. Like a, be able to say, what is a C chord? Well, it's C, E, G. What is a C dominant 7 chord? Well, it's C, E, G, B flat. Or, what makes it an add 9 chord? I think those are important things to know, because then you can make those chords. And then also you can think about the chord tones that work when someone's playing those chords. So I think, and then it's just down to, finding out what sounds good. Just use your ear. Did Leo Fender have anything to do with amps after Music Man? Not that I know of. So apparently there was going to be a GNL amp, but I don't think Leo was involved in it. And he seemed to have very little involvement with Music Man amps, other than the tube kind of overdrive unit that was in the little 112s in the early 80s. Apparently he designed that, but he didn't design the HD 130 or the 65s or in any of those. How high do you set your strings? I have them really, really close. I don't have it measured, Arnie, but I have it just as low as I can, and then and then it starts to rattle, and I pull it up where it just rattles less. So, would love to see you do another interview with Kenny Vaughn. Oh man, he is a wonderment. I agree. Let's see, we got a good morning from Rolette, Texas. Let's see, we got Sergi says, what's your favorite speaker for a deluxe reverb? I really like, I had a G1265, like the warehouse version. It's called an ET65. I had that for a while, but I've gone back to using a vintage 30, and I have the Mesa Boogie version of that, and I really like that a lot, and I've gone back to it. So, yeah, but I mean, there's tons of good speakers. If you really want the old school deluxe sound, you could get the Alessandro, 64. That's a really good speaker too. But I like more mids because I play cleaner. So what speaker you like has to do with what kind of guitar you're playing and what kind of effects you're using on top of it. So if you're using a lot of effects and a lot of boost and different things like that, you're not going to want a vintage 30 because you're going to have too much mids. And also, the louder you turn the amp up, the more mid-range it's going to have. And so because I usually have the amp from 3 to 5 and I'm not running the amp on 10, I need a speaker that has more mids. So all of it makes a difference. Now that is a great idea. I ought to interview Gary Hooker. So he's a good dude and a friend. So, oh, and my sister's chiming in and saying, if you're enjoying the live stream, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. I appreciate that. So that's always helps and it's fun. Kids like it when you hit if you really want to impress the kids, you hit a harmonic and you bend it behind the nut. Or like if you're playing an A, yeah, kids just go crazy. I mean, they drop their ice cream cone, whole 9 yards. Kids love it. So just remember to do that every time you can. Do anything behind the nut on a Telecaster, it'll buy you fans and all sorts of things. Oh, let's see, Tony. Yeah, we've been going for over an hour, so I'm gonna stay on for a little bit longer. But then I've got a Zoom call, a meeting I've got to get on in a little bit, so I'm gonna stay on for a little bit longer. How do you set up your Headstrong for live use? Good question. So I set the volume, usually around 5, and the treble at 7, and the bass at 4 or 5, and the reverb at 2 to 2.5. So, and that's how I set it up. Thank you, Tony. Let's see, and thank you, Victor. Yes, and thank you everyone for the thumbs up. So I know there's questions that I missed in the past, and if you didn't get your question answered, try to get it in. I want to reiterate that next week's episode is of course a regular Ask Zach, not a live stream, and it's going to be all about Bigsby Telecasters, and we're going to talk about the history, all the famous Bigsby Telecaster players. We're going to talk about tips and tricks for keeping them in tune, and mods and all sorts of things. And I'm going to use this late 60s telly that was a gift from my buddy Bill McCumber down in Alice, Texas. So, yeah. Who was the assistant city manager in Alice, Texas for years. So, let's see. Samuel Gutierrez says, you might have my favorite channel. I have learned more about tellies and amps from you and Keith Williams than anyone else. Well, thank you, Samuel. Yeah. Jipes Blues says, love your sense of humor. I'm pretty sure you can be super funny. Love your playing. Well, thank you. I try to be funny because, you find out that being out on the road with people, that it's like, if you're not fun to be around, then, you can't be talented enough to overcome a bad attitude. So, if you're fun out on the road and if you play good, then people are going to want to work with you. And so I always try to, I try to have fun, try to make everyone have fun. We got a super chat from Margaret Zabinski. Thank you so much. That is very, very kind and much appreciated. So thank you, Margaret. We got DB, and Joshua says, how do you know so much about who played on what country tracks? Is there a book or online resource for that? Yeah, there's a great one. I own a bunch of records, and I read all the liner notes and remember them, and then of course refer back to them before I start spouting information. And then there's a great website called Discogs, and they have really good session information. There's also Prog Frank, who's another really good information about where the sessions were done and who played on them, who engineered and stuff like that. So yeah, I try to do due diligence before I talk about anyone playing on a record. Where can we keep up on what and where you're playing? I always, if I'm playing a gig, I always post it on Instagram. So you really ought to follow me on Instagram and, or Facebook, but better Instagram. And I always, if I'm playing a gig. Have you seen the new Mike Campbell telly? Yes, it's cool. It's got a Bigsby on it and 2 humbuckers. Yeah, and a single. Do you play any video games? No, I've had issues with arthritis, and so I have to save my hands for playing the guitar. And so I don't play video games at all. I enjoyed them in the past. When I was in college, I could spend 8 hours, playing a video game and, stay up till 6 o'clock in the morning, playing video games. I did that more than drinking or anything like that. Come to Ashland City to see Mo Pitney. All right. 2016 Danacaster where I can feel. Oh, you need to. I had that happen on one of mine too, James. You need to contact Dan Strain, and he will help you out. He'll fix it. Do you use a compressor as always on or occasionally? Many times I have it on all the time, but lightly. But it just depends on the situation. Like whenever I'm doing a live stream, or recording, I absolutely use a compressor. But live, sometimes if I'm, if I can turn the amp up more, if I have a Princeton or a Deluxe on 5, I usually don't need as much compression. Again, thank you, Margaret. That was very nice. What would you recommend for Telecaster records to really study? Booker T and the MG's Greatest Hits, Merle Haggard's Lonesome Fugitive album, Merle Haggard Live from Muskogee, Johnny Cash's Greatest Hits, where you'll get the Luther Perkins stuff. Yeah, and then there's a Portrait of Merle Haggard. That's the original album that has Silver Wings on it, and it has Working Man Blues. So you get. And you get. All right. We got a bunch of really, really nice people here. So thank you to Patrick. Thank you to Joshua Thaxton. Thank you for the super sticker. Yeah. Pair character sketching his arm toward raising his thumb up. All right. Well, thank you. Let's see. And David Schramm, thank you so much. I very much appreciate it. For my diet, I try to cut out sugar and alcohol, and I exercise. And I found the thing that's helped the most is actually by doing some weight training. And I'm no bodybuilder or anything like that, but I do enough that I've built up better strength in my whole arm, and it's helped my playing and my arthritis. So. Yeah, very nice. What's a good compressor setting for clean? I mean, you can take any. I like a simple compressor. You could get a Dynacomp or a Wampler Ego Comp or this Mirage Comp, and I think you just set it light where it's not squashing the crap out of it and making it sound like rubber bands. Let's see. This group in Ashland City, great to hear they're still rocking there. Nice. I have 3 different compressors: Boss CS3, Dynacomp, BYOC, Orange Squeezer. Generally can't figure out what I'm meant to do with any of them. You just need to set them light and just have it where it kind of evens out the sound of the guitar. You don't want it to where it's like really like squeezing the crap out of your signal. So, all right, we've been going for a while, and I need to kind of reset for I got a meeting at 11 that I got to get to, but really glad that everyone came out. Much appreciated. Y'all are fantastic. And here we go. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next time. Remember to watch next week's episode on the Bigsby Telecaster. All right. Bye-bye.